Hello and welcome CPC fans, I'm your host King L5 and today I'm bringing you my week 4 match up against Techno. So you can see his team on the screen. He has the mighty round 1 bruxish and he's currently undefeated in this league. Fortunately so are we, so let's get into the team I decided to bring. First off, I'm going to mention there are a few flaws in this team. First off, I have double stealth rocker. That's not on purpose. Basically, I had one moveset on Donphan, and I had another Pokemon over Metagross. I think it was Keldeo. And so I had Stealth Rocks on Donphan, and then I was like, you know what, I could have Stealth Rocks on Metagross and free up a move slot on Donphan. And so I'm like, okay, let me swap out my Keldeo from a Metagross. That gives me a better Crobat answer, because if you look at my team with Keldeo over Metagross, it just gets dumpstered by Crobat, so I'm like, I need a Metagross here. And plus, Metagross has a pretty nice offensive matchup versus his team. I can Bullet Punch the Ninetales, for example. Just my stabs are pretty decent versus him. Not perfect, but good enough. So I have Rocks on Metagross and Donphan. I meant to have like knockoff on Donphan, just to better help. Or actually, no, it was Stone Edge. I was going to have Stone Edge on Donphan for the Crobat. But alas, we have Stealth Rocks on both. Anyways, I have Rock Polish Landers because, you know, if I get a Rock Polish up, this thing has very, very nice coverage versus his team. The only thing that really walls it, per se, is the Hypno, and that's pretty much it. I have super effective coverage for, let's see, Lizardex, Excadrill, T-Tar, Crobat, Chestnut, the Ninetales, Heliolisk, Tentacruel, and the Slurpuff. So only his 2 Psychics don't get hit super effectively by this 3-move coverage, so that's very nice for Landorus. Life Orb, Sheer Force, obviously going to be hitting very hard, especially with that kind of coverage. And then Rock Polish allows me to outspeed his whole team. So that's nice. Weavile is going to be Brick Break, Life Orb. I could have gone Adamant this week, but I decided that Scarf Tyranitar is actually a pretty decent threat versus me if I bring Adamant, because he would be able to creep that and I would get outsped and Stone Edged, and that's no fun. So I decided to creep a Jolly Scarf T-Tar with my Weavile. And I do have the Brick Break to get rid of the screens if necessary, as well as it still one-hit KOs standard Tyranitar, and it's a roll, but it also has a chance to knock out Excadrill, especially after any chip damage. So, like, Brick Break plus Ice Shard is definitely able to do it. So that's pretty nice. That's it for the Weavile. Donphan is going to be Rocky Helmet Max Defense because I need a Charizard X counter. This is also going to be my Banded T-Tar response because it just clicks Stone Edge versus the rest of my Mons. Well, I guess Metagross, but that's not a Tyranitar switch in by any means because of Crunch. It's just going to blow me away. So I have my Rocky Helmet Donphan to help check physical attackers. It also helps versus a Banded Crobat, which could have been a potential bring if he didn't expect my Metagross. And yeah, so that's there. It also checks the Excadrill and can spin pretty reliably for my Zard. But anyways, my Metagross, I already went over that. Charizard Y, this defense investment allows me to take something. What was it? It was probably, oh, I actually don't know. Huh, what was it? I don't remember, but it did something. 228 special attack allows me to one-hit KO Tyranitar with Focus Blast if it is a standard spread. Or I think I calced for max HP on that. And then 192 speed allows me to speed creep the, I believe, Excadrill. Or, no, I'm speed creeping the bruxish, I'm pretty sure. Probably should have ran max speed to speed tie his Zard, but I didn't, so there you go. Flamethrower, Focus Blast, and Will-O-Wisp Roost. So it's not perfect coverage, but it hits pretty much everything besides the bruxish, which I can burn anyways, as well as the Tentacruel, which again I can burn, and I have pretty good Tentacruel answer in my Whimsicott, which is going to be Psychium Z, as well as like Whimsicott is there to mainly lure in the Tentacruel and the Crobat with the Psychium, and then I can Encore a setup move by Charizard X, so if I do want to absolutely prevent Zard from sweeping me, I can just toss out my Whimsicott. If he goes for DD, I can click Encore, and then if he doesn't, then at least he didn't set up. But yeah, Tailwind is there because if Charizard does set up, and I don't get the opportunity to Encore him, the Tailwind is so that my Landorus can outspeed a +2 Charizard and revenge that, as well as a Tailwind suicide into Landorus is very threatening on its own, not just as a means of checking Zard X. So if I can get the Tailwind up, Landorus will definitely outspeed everything on his team, and again, it has pretty much perfect coverage versus most of his team. So that's going to be the general game plan with the team. Let's get right into the game. So here you can see he brought the Zardex, Bruxish, his Veil, T-Tar, the Tentacruel, and Excadrill. So one thing that you may notice is that when the Charizard Mega Evolves, he's going to have no ground resist. So I was thinking it could be Balloon Excadrill, just that team preview, because Balloon Excadrill gives him a very decent check to my Landorus, as it's rather unlikely that I'm bringing Focus Blast versus him or Superpower, so he can bring Balloon to check that pretty reliably. His T-Tar, it could be Smooth Rock, it could be Choppleberry, it could be Shuckaberry, it could be Scarf. All of these are good sets versus me, but seeing as though only Excadrill and T-Tar can get up rocks, and I do have a Zard Y, he's definitely bringing rocks, and it's more likely to be on T-Tar than on Excadrill. So I'm feeling like this is going to be more of a bulky Tyranitar. Could be Shuckaberry Ice Beam to help check my Landers, because as I said before, he has no ground resist, so that's going to be a huge threat versus him. The Bruxish is probably just going to be SD with a Veil. Charizard is probably just going to be DD with Veil. Just nice setup mons for his Veil to really take advantage of that. The Tentacruel obviously going to be the Spinner, and Excadrill more of an offensive mon. But yeah, that's going to be my team preview thoughts. Let's get right into the game. I'm going to lead off with my Donphan just to get up rocks, as well as counter lead his Zard X, because if he does lead with Zard X versus my Metagross, which would be my other rocker, then I would have to go into Donphan and take a load of damage anyways, and since he has no real ground resist, Donphan is a pretty decent lead overall anyways, and he does lead off with his T-Tar, so I'm just going to click EQ to chip this thing down, as he's going to go for Ice Beam, and he's going to crit me turn 1, and that is really unfortunate, because it really only would have done slightly over half to my Donphan, which, again, is a 2-hit KO, but I could have switched out and saved my Donphan to at least check the Zard with Rocky Helmet plus recoil from Flare Blitz, so that's kind of annoying. And as a result, I am just going to stay in this next turn, because I know this is a Stealth Rocker, because that Earthquake did way too little for this to be an offensive T-Tar. So predicting him to potentially try to get up his rocks here, because if he gets up rocks and I Earthquake, he can basically force me out with any Pokemon, and I'm never getting a spin off, and that would suck for my Charizard. So I'm going to go for the spin here, expecting the rocks, just trying to throw out my Donphan in exchange for no rocks. And he goes for the Fire Blast, which is a nice play on his part. Probably predicting like my Metagross pivot on the Ice Beam, for example, but it just covered that. And now I'm going to go into my Weavile, because in my mind, this is kind of really stupid of me, I thought that since he had Ice Beam, it was more likely that he was Shuckaberry to catch my Landorus, rather than Choppleberry to catch these two Pokemon. The problem with that thinking is, of course, I already threw off an Earthquake versus him, and it didn't pop a berry, so I should have known. But I go into my Weavile because Brick Break kills through Choppleberry anyways at this range of health, so I'm just going to go for Brick Break here, as it covers both berries anyways, as he goes out into his Tentacruel, which reveals to be Balloon, so that's going to be his ground resist. And here I make another stupid play. So I look at my handy dandy calculator, and it's telling me that this is not a bulky Tentacruel, not very bulky at least, not even max HP, and it's also telling me that knockoff kills, so I'm like, sweet, let me go for this. Unfortunately, I think you already know what's going to happen. He has no item anymore because his balloon was popped. So knockoff is only base 65, not 97.5, so it's going to live this, and you already know what's going to happen. Scald and burn. So that's really unfortunate that I kind of threw out 2 Pokemon in the first 4 turns. That really sucks. But here, what I can do is just go for the knockoff. Unfortunately, what this allows him to do is go into his T-Tar, and with a Chople Berry, he's going to live the Brick Break after the burn. So that's just a series of very unfortunate events that allows rocks to go up, and that's terrible for me, honestly. But I can now go into my Landorus. He has no ground resist besides a Charizard that has to Mega Evolve turn 1 anyways, so I am able to force a kill here with the Earth Power. It's unlikely that he's double Balloon. And since he's sacking his T-Tar here, I'm kind of expecting a Scarf Excadrill in the back, as that makes a lot of sense, especially since he doesn't go out into it here and actually gets up the Hail immediately. So yeah, I know he's going to click the Aurora Veil, but I can't risk my Landorus in case he just decides to throw off a Blizzard. So I'm going to go into my Metagross hard here, and I'm just going to get up my rocks to limit the Charizard on its switch-ins after this. And now I'm in that situation where I kind of have to throw out a Pokemon, as Flare Blitz does get a kill, but if he DDs, I lose on the spot, which is a terrible thing, because I did lose my Helmet Donphan pretty much turn 1. So that's really mighty unfortunate. But I'm just going to go into my Whimsicott, as it's the only thing that prevents me from losing to DD on the spot. And he is just going to predict that and go for a Flare Blitz, not allowing himself to be Encore locked. And, like, that sucks, but fortunately Landorus is really strong, so it's able to guaranteed knock out this Charizard behind Veil anyways. So I'm just going to go for the Earth Power here, as he elects to go out into his Ninetales, which is going to be able to take the hit. But now this gives me my Metagross once again. He's going to go for the Blizzard here, and he freezes me, so that is annoying. However, we're going to thaw out next turn, so it's not going to end up mattering. Spoiler alert. Now here I am going to go for the Zen Headbutt, because his Veil has 4 more turns, and I don't want to kill this Ninetales super fast. And if he decided to switch out, it was going to go into his Zard X. So I did want to hit that as hard as possible if I did thaw, as well as not knock out the Ninetales. Now here, this is a play that I debated. I could have gone for the Stealth Rocks here to stall out another turn of Veil. And I believe he has 2 turns left after this turn is done. Yes, he does. So I debated going for the Stealth Rocks here to burn off another turn, and then I can Bullet Punch next turn, and he would have no more Veil since this dies to Rocks, and spinning with his Excadrill would give me a free turn, and that's kind of a choke. But anyways, I decide to go for the Bullet Punch here to knock out the Ninetales, as he makes a switch out into bruxish. And although that play blocking the Bullet Punch looks kind of flashy, it's actually a choke, because if he went into Charizard there, even if I predicted that I went for Zen Headbutt, unless I got a crit, it did not matter, and he would have been able to Roost up and Dragon Dance up. The Zen Headbutt is doing like 40% to that thing, but anyways, he goes into his Bruxish, and now he's going to SD on my Meteor Mash, and I'm going to get a boost, and the screen's going to wear off. So I'm able to actually knock out this Bruxish in 2 hits, which is very nice. He goes for Aqua Jet. That does absolutely nothing because I'm max HP and this is a Bruxish. And I get another attack raise, which is very nice. And here he's going to go out into his Charizard X, and I debated this a little bit. I can either Zen Headbutt expecting a Roost, expecting my Bullet Punch, or I can just Bullet Punch, and Bullet Punch plus Flare Blitz is likely to knock him out if he is just offensive Zard X. And I decide that Roosting is a complete unplay, and if he does Dragon Dance, Bullet Punch is a 2-hit KO anyways, so I'm just going to Bullet Punch here as he Flare Blitzes, but he actually reveals to have some HP investment since he doesn't die to that, and Hail runs out, so this gives me my Landorus, and I can click Earth Power. Actually no, I click Psychic, just in case the extra was Balloon, and I had no reason not to click Psychic to cover that. And here he's forced to go into his Excadrill, and now he has two plays. One is to go for the Iron Head flinch. The other one is to spin. If he spins, then he can go into his Ninetales and just sweep me, because, well, maybe not sweep, because my Charizard would be able to potentially live a Blizzard, but having the Alola Ninetales back would be pretty nice for him. So if I Earth Power, he did have potential to sweep with Ninetales after Rocks. I don't know how offensive his Ninetales was, I didn't calibrate my Metagross, but anyways, the other play is Iron Head flinch, and then if he gets the flinch, he can Iron Head again, switch out to reset his Choice Scarf, and then Rock Slide the Charizard. Now, I only have one play that covers both, and that's Rock Polish, so I'm going to go straight for that. He has Scarf Extra, fortunately he does not flinch me, and I get off the Rock Polish. That covered the spin and sack, as Ninetales would then be outsped, but now I'm able to go for the Earth Power, and Ninetales is going to go down to Rocks, and that's going to be the game. Techno did definitely choke there by not going into Zard X on my Metagross, but hey, we take those, and we advance to, I believe, 4-0 now, so that's pretty nice, and I'll see you guys in the next one.